Glory to God. Not like your regular preachers. I have my own style, so.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Hallelujah. Glory be to God.
Let loose.
I'll bring it the way the Lord gave it to me.
Amen.
Praise God. And before I brought forth this word,
Amen.
you know that the Lord speaks to his servants first, right?
Amen.
Amen. Praise God. So I've brought a message, and we'll be talking today about Joseph. Praise God. I'll give a little brief summary of who Joseph was. I'm usually accustomed to preach in Spanish, but I'm going to get out of my comfort zone, and I will be preaching in English today. Amen. We have to graduate, right? We need to move forward and grow. So this is part of my training field. But anyway, Joseph was a young man who was the baby of in the house, right? So when you're the baby in the house, what happens? You're spoiled, right? You're spoiled by your either mom, your dad, but in this particular case, he was spoiled by his father. And this caused jealousy amongst his siblings, amongst his brothers. And his father loved him the most because he had him in his old age. And Joseph, at the age of 17 years old, and I found this very interesting, at the age of 17 years old, he was working with his father. And at that particular age, at that young age, God already had a purpose for his life. You know? And the Lord began to reveal things to him. And the way that the Lord began to reveal things to Joseph was through dreams. And that's where I decided to start this particular story on Genesis chapter 37 and verse 19, where the statement says, "Here comes the dreamer." Even though I posed it in this way, "Here comes the dreamer," when Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they didn't say it in a nice way. They were being sarcastic. They were nasty because of the hatred and the jealousy that they had towards his younger brother. Okay, and so what I did, because I like to do a little research and I like to get into the word, what I did was I looked up the meaning of the word dreamer. And in the English dictionary it says that it is that of a person who dreams or is dreaming. That was the first definition. The second definition was a person who is unpractical and idealistic. So when Joseph was revealed his two dreams, right? His brothers looked at him and they saw him in that manner, that he was unrealistic, that he was impractical, right? Because the dream that he had was, what was it? That everybody was bound towards him, right? So, it got me to thinking that Joseph was a little, let me see the word, naive. Not naive. You know when a kid, sort of kind of innocent, that despite of, right, knowing that you have something against me, but it's not dawning on me, and I still want to share with you my dream. And this is where I'm going to come to tell you that we need to be wise. Because God is going to reveal things to you that you're not going to be able to share with your brothers and with your sisters, because they do not love you. They do not love you. They are envious. They are envious of what God is going to do in your life. So you need to be very careful who you're sharing your dreams with. But in this particular case, even though we may shared his dreams and it got him into certain situations, despite of it, it was still in God's plan, right? It was still in God's plan. He did not get, I'm going to go a little back. He, as the little brother, he didn't get no pet names. You know, his name was Joseph. You would have probably called him Joselito. My brother's all day, so I call him Joselito. Right? Or Joe, for sure. He didn't have none of that stuff. And I put myself in Joseph's situation. That you're the young kid. Okay, yeah, mommy and daddy, or daddy in this particular case, spoils me. But my brothers doesn't love me. So that means that he was rejected. That means that he was pushed away. That means that he probably was left behind. That means that he couldn't join them. Right? He couldn't play with them. He couldn't, they weren't their defenders. Usually a big brother wants to defend their little brother, but that wasn't his case. So, you know, Joseph held on to that dream. And what I want to say today is that even if that dream, that word, maybe it wasn't a dream, maybe it was a revelation, maybe it was a word. Maybe God said, you're going to be a pastor. Maybe God said, you're going to be a minister. Maybe God said, you're going to be a preacher. Maybe God said, you're going to be a singer, a missionary. Whatever it was, a prayer warrior. If God gave it to you, if God revealed it to you, you hold on to it despite of what you hear, despite of what you see. Hold on to that dream. Hold on to that promise. Yes, Lord Jesus. There are times, and I involve myself, there are times where the Lord probably gave you a word, you know. I was 12-ish, around there, when I remember this evangelist coming to me and, oh, the Lord is going to use this young lady tremendously. I looked like Carmen at 12. I was very thin, you know. My self-esteem was very low. I went through my own little things as I was growing up. There was TV in my home. I had a stepfather who was very abusive. I was pushed from him. And I left the ways of the Lord. But the Lord already had spoken a word over my life. Right? And so I came back. And then I went through my process. Because just because you may stray, what God spoke over your life is still going to come to pass. Now, you decide if it's going to come to pass the way He wants it to come to pass, or if it's going to come to pass the way He wants it to come to pass. So, some people are going to feel unqualified, less than, maybe because of the labels that they have put over their lives. In Joseph's case, it was the dream. In some cases are the crazy woman, the drug addict, the prostitute. I don't know. You're not intelligent enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You're not qualified enough. But I serve such an awesome and mighty God. Yes. That He does not call the qualified. And that's what I love about the Lord, because if I allow myself to listen to dogmas or to rules or instructions, I would not be standing here before you. But God qualifies the call. Yes. You see? So, and I brought some examples. And I thought this was very important. And this came in a particular moment of my life. Because you see, God forgives us, right? Once you come before His presence and you say, Lord, forgive me for X, Y, Z. You know what it is, right? And you do it with a humble and contrite heart, the Lord forgives you. Yes. But we have a tendency of not forgiving ourselves. And sometimes when we do not forgive ourselves, what happens? That holds us stagnant to where God wants to take us. So one of the things that helped me, and I hope that it helps others, is that I got a couple of people here, people from the Bible, that didn't have it all together. Okay? So I will begin and I will try to go through the list like this. Noah was a drunk. Abraham was too old. Isaac was a daydreamer. Jacob was a liar. Leah was ugly. Joseph was abused. We established that one. Moses had a stuttering problem. Gideon was afraid. Samson had long hair and was a womanizer. Rahab was a prostitute. Jeremiah was too young. David was an adulterer, not to mention a murderer. Elijah was suicidal. John the Baptist ate bugs. Peter denied Christ. All his disciples fell asleep while praying and ran away when Jesus really needed them. Martha worried about everything. The Samaritan woman was divorced more than once. Mary Magdalene was demon possessed. Zacchaeus was too small. Timothy had an ulcer. Yes. Paul was a Christian killer. Jonah ran from God. Esther was an orphan. And to top it all off, Lazarus was dead. Yeah. So, that being said, I brought all these issues to let you know that each of us, one way or the other, like it says on Romans 3:23, for we all have sinned and fall short. We all fall short. That's why he sent Jesus, because we couldn't save ourselves. We all fall short, right? So, I want you to take, if you have any negative remark or if anyone has taken advantage of you, God doesn't see you in your current situation. That's what I love about the Lord. I couldn't understand at one time when I used to hear to the Lord, one day is 1,000 years and 1,000 years is a day. I couldn't, in my natural mind, I couldn't fathom it. But the awesome thing about this is that God knows your past, your present, and your future because He's already there. So He might tell you, you are a pastor of pastors. You are a preacher to the nations. And you're like, what? But we here, and it's only how many of us here? But God is not seeing here. God is seeing in the future. God is seeing ahead. God is seeing what He already predestined for you. So you hold on and you be encouraged and you hold on to that word. I'm going to go back to Joseph. Joseph had his first two dreams. What happened in those first two dreams? They already hated his brother. Now they hated him even more. What they did, they decided to throw him in a ditch. Okay? In a well, it was empty. Thank God, because the poor kid would have drowned. Okay? And they heard his brother's sorrows. There's going to be people that they're going to see your sorrows. I was thinking to myself, I was like, so your baby brother's in a ditch, but you're sitting down and you're eating while your little brother is suffering. Yes. But it was all in God's plan. And I kept on studying this because I was so intrigued with the story. Because as he went to Potiphar's house, right? He was sold. Let's go back. He was sold to the Ishmaelites for a couple of bucks in the pocket. You know, they were okay. They had no conscience. They went back and they lied to their father. A beast ate your favorite child. So now you saw your father suffering. No compassion. Nothing. But God, do you know that God was still with Joseph? Yes. Joseph ended up in Potiphar's house. The word tells me that while he was in Potiphar's house, the God that I serve, okay? The God that I serve, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, what Egyptian. Why? For Joseph's sake. I found that so interesting. He blessed the Egyptian for Joseph's sake. And Joseph was so blessed in what he did. So what that indicates to me, that even in his circumstance, he was still working. He was still doing what he was supposed to do. He was still walking in righteousness because he was holding on to that dream. He didn't know how it was going to come to pass, but he was holding on to that word. And he continued to do right before the Lord. And it says in the word that Potiphar put everything in his hands, and the only thing he had to worry about was the bread that he was eating. So I think Potiphar gained some weight. I'm just thinking, I'm not saying it in the Bible, but if he's sitting back and he's not doing exercise and Joseph is doing the work, just saying, I'm just using my little imagination, but Joseph persevered. And that to me was so intriguing. He persevered. What it is to persevere is to continue in a course of action, even in the face of difficulty or with little or no prospect of success. Joseph did not know what he was going to encounter when he went to Potiphar's house. He did good. Potiphar trusted him. Now, here comes the little twist. But it's all of God's plan. It's all God's plan, right? And you know, I was the type of Christian that when I used to see people go through stuff, I used to get so angry. Hey, wait a minute, I was the type of Christian that when I used to go through stuff, I used to get so angry. But we need to understand that it's part of the process. So he got his first two dreams, right? Okay, so his first two dreams got him to get to Potiphar's house. What happens? It says in the word that Joseph was a handsome guy, right? So Potiphar's wife, she's checking him out. She wasn't supposed to be. She was checking him out.
She's left alone.
She was probably because Potiphar was eating bread.
She was alone.
But Joseph remained faithful. Faithful to God. But remember that Joseph was being instructed by his father. And he took that with him. So it doesn't matter what age, how old, where you're at. You could be in a strange land, but you can still remain faithful. He went. He didn't want to do, he didn't want to break God's heart. That's right. He wanted to be faithful to God. He got accused for something that he did not do. Who's been there, done that, got the free t-shirt? Oh, no hands, please. Right?
I'm keeping mine straight.
What happens? So now, poor Joseph ends up where? In jail. Now he's in jail. So something that he didn't do? First he gets thrown in the cistern, then he gets thrown in. He's sold as a slave from a little boy with royal clothing, right? Now he's in jail. Okay. So while he's in jail, what happens? He finds favor. Again. Why? Because he's doing what he's supposed to do. Through this whole process, as I'm reading, it specifically says that yes, he's going through the pit, to the prison, but it says that God was with him. And I was like, but wait a minute. But he's going through some serious stuff. But God was with him. I don't know what happened to Joseph. I don't know if Joseph had to fight in jail. It doesn't say it. It just says that he was in charge of everything. Right? He was in charge of the cupbearer and the bread maker. But before he was in charge, I don't know if he feared for his life. I mean, if you compare it to the jail system today, I think I would have been a sack of nerves. So what happens during this process that God is still with Joseph, even though he's in jail, Joseph receives 2 more dreams. And I say receives 2 more dreams because although they weren't his personal dreams, they were revealed to him. So once it was revealed to him, it was given to him, right? So now he has two more dreams.
Ahora tiene dos sueños más.
So now he interprets these two dreams.
Interpreta estos dos
So he
sueños.
tells one, okay, he interprets the dream. I'm not going to tell you the dream. Read the Bible. The first one says, he interprets the dream. He says, you know what? That means that you're going to go back to your post. And the other one, that means that you're going to be dead. Right? And lo and behold, he interpreted the dreams. They were forgiven. They were about to go to the king. He tells them specifically, please, plead my cause before the king. Don't forget me. But what happens? He's back in his post. Everything is great. He's pardoned by the king. But he forgot Joseph. But God was with him. Do you think that God could have not taken him out of the process? He could have. Do you think that God loved the fact that he was going through what he was going through? Absolutely not. Was it necessary? Absolutely. I didn't see nowhere there where it said that Joseph was really upset with the Lord. How many of us has gotten upset with the Lord? Because we gotta be real, right?
We got it made. We got it made.
How many of us? Right?
Yes,
And
yes.
because we don't understand the process.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Eventually, 2 years later, right? Joseph got the dream at 17. I want you to remember this. He was 17 years old. Just wanted to point that out. Finally, he gets to the palace. Why? Because the king had this dream that the Pharaoh, because it wasn't the king back then, the Pharaoh got a dream that none of the wise men in the kingdom, no one anywhere could have interpreted the Pharaoh's dream. But aha,
Joseph.
2 years later, oh yes, this Hebrew guy in the prison, Joseph, right? What happens? He remembered. But he remembered at the appointed time. So he received his 5th and 6th dream. Again, not because he dreamt it, because it was revealed to him. And he was able to interpret the Pharaoh's dream. So now, let's go a little back. At 17, he was working with his father. He was educated by his dad. Boom. His brother disliked him, was thrown into the pit. Now he's sold to the Ishmaelites, ended up in Potiphar's house. Now he's managing Potiphar's house. I don't know how many acres, I don't know how many cows, I don't know how many goats, but he was high up there, right? He was rich. So now he's managing this estate in my shop. Okay? So from there now he goes to prison. I don't understand what was the training there, but maybe he had to deal with some difficult men. Okay? And he went through that process, and the Lord was still with him. He was still working with integrity in the most dark places. Okay? Because there's going to be times that the Lord is going to put you and send you through some dark places, and you're going to have to stand, and you're going to have to hold your head up high, whether you like it or not, despite of what you see, despite of what you hear, you continue holding on to that promise. You keep the focus on what God said is going to happen in your life. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. The 5th and 6th dream came to Joseph. I didn't mention this before. When Joseph first had his coat of colors that was given to him,
que fue dado a él.
And sometimes we do this.
A veces
That
ese-
coat of colors
ese
was similar
mapa de
to the
colores
coats
era similar
that the sons of the Pharaoh
que los
used to
faraones
use.
usaban.
So he had a coat of royalty at the age of 17 that he was not ready to wear. Woo!
A ponerse
Wow. He wasn't ready for that at 17. I counted
Yo conté,
because I like to be as accurate as possible.
pero tengo que ser lo más
And it took 13 years,
que tomó
if I'm
13
not
años
mistaken,
y me tomó
for him to get
para
to
él
the Pharaoh's
llegar
house, because it
a la
states
casa del faraón.
that he went from the prison, he was taken, he was bathed, he was shaved,
Y afeitar.
because you can't just come any type of way before the king.
That's right.
Okay?
Antes de-
So he was shaved, and guess what?
¿Y sabes qué?
Now he was ready
Ahora estaba
to
preparado
wear
para ponerse.
the robe. Now he was ready
Ahora
to
estaba
receive
para recibir
what God had promised.
le había prometido.
Why didn't God take him out the process?
¿Por qué no lo sacó
It
del
wasn't that
proceso?
God wasn't with him.
No era que
It wasn't that God didn't love him, but God had a bigger plan. Because through Joseph,
a través de José
many nations
muchas
were
naciones
saved.
fueron salvas.
Glory to God.
So,
Hallelujah.
go through your process.
Pasa por
You
tu
might
proceso.
say,
Tú quizás
but
dirás,
Sister Ruth,
pero hermana Ruth,
I stopped.
yo paré,
Okay? Maybe you stopped.
me vi tu paraste.
And guess what? And I just don't know
No sé
where to go or what to do.
qué hacer.
I'm going to tell you
Te
today,
voy a decir hoy.
you can go back to basics.
Puedes ir atrás
That's how it is.
fácil.
Go back to basics or go back where you left off.
Ve de-
Pick
de
up
donde tú
where you
dejaste.
left off.
Levántate de donde
Take
tú
back
te
Yes,
tomas para
yes.
atrás.
what the Lord gave you.
Lo que Dios te ha dado.
Jesus.
Take it back.
Hallelujah.
The good thing that we have
Lo bueno
is
que tenemos es
that we could always come back to
que
the
siempre
Lord.
podemos
Yes.
volver.
God knew.
Dios sabía.
There's nothing that we do or say that could surprise my Father. He knew. If I begin to tell you all the mistakes, I won't. That was thrown into the sea of forgetfulness. But what I'm here to tell you is, you could just go right back. You could accept the Lord if you don't have Jesus in your heart. It is a simple prayer. It is a prayer of just saying, Lord, I surrender. And I ask you to forgive me of all my sins. And I receive you as my Lord and Savior. Find yourself a church. We have amazing people at Reaching Out Ministries Inc. You can go to www.reachingoutministriesny.org. Phone number is 646-250-9217 or 347-898-9736 if you need prayer. You can call these numbers. You have anointed ministers that is willing and able to bring a word of encouragement, who is willing to pray over you. Again, the ministry is Reaching Out Ministries Inc. at www.reachingoutministriesny.org, and the numbers are 646-250-9217, 347-898-9736. Please hold on to your dreams. Make sure that the people you surround yourself are eagles who are going to lift you up, who are going to partner with you, who are going to be with you in that same vision. Don't tell your dreams just to any chicken. Tell it to an eagle, not to a chicken. The chicken stays down here eating corn, but the eagle flies and soars over mountains. Okay, and the Lord and the God that I serve wants you to go from glory to glory and victory to victory for the glory and honor of His name. Because again, remember, Joseph saved many nations.
José salvó
But
muchas
Joseph
naciones.
also saved those who betrayed him, who
Salvó a aquellos que
abandoned him.
Yes.
Not only did he save them, he forgave them. So if there's something in your heart that you have to let go, let it go. If you need to forgive, forgive.
Yes.
And move forward with the dream, with the vision. In Jesus' name, be blessed.
Amen.
Sister Maggie.
Dios me habló a mí.
Glory to God. Hallelujah.
Oh, yo voy para el frente.
Gloria a Dios. Aleluya. If you're listening to us right now, si nos estás escuchando y necesitas oración, pedimos los números a llamar. Y recuérdate que Cristo te ama. Y Dios te ha llamado a ti con un propósito para tu vida. Agárrate de esa promesa de Dios. Porque Dios no es hombre que para mentir. Él va a cumplir su promesa en tu vida. Por favor, agárrate del Señor. Y como José, sé valiente y sigue hacia adelante. Dios te bendiga y te continúe bendiciendo.